We finally made it. The 1,000-Year Blood War arc is finally being adapted into an anime after years of the fan base waiting. Spoilers for those who haven't watched the first episode yet, but the episode ends with about a 4-minute montage of some of the best moments from the previous anime, pretty much showcasing every single major highlight of Bleach. Now, if you watch my recent binging Bleach episode, you'd know that I didn't really grow up on Bleach. I knew about it, heard about it, but I never watched it. My first real experience with Bleach happened throughout the past year as I finally read Bleach for the first time ever. So this 4-minute montage in the first episode shouldn't really do anything to me, right? But I cried. I got really emotional. Not only was the episode just fantastic with absolutely amazing animation and honestly, like, wonderful pacing, but that montage, it just reminded me of this really wonderful journey that brought me to this moment. Every single moment that I loved, maybe I didn't like so much, but it's all part of the process. I'm extremely excited to be here. I just finished the last core member of the big three, and now I get to watch this amazing new anime with all of you. So without further ado, let's finally talk about this goddamn 1,000-Year Blood War, which, in my opinion, is peak Bleach. My name is Josue, welcome to the Panic Brothers channel, and let's just get into it. The 1,000-Year Blood War is a behemoth in and of itself. This saga alone is longer than majority of manga ever. If I had to compare the magnitude of this arc to anything that's ever been previously released, it's probably the Chimera Ant saga from Hunter x Hunter. The Chimera Ant arc is roughly a third of the entire Hunter x Hunter story. A third! And it's only focusing on giant ant creatures. I love it. I love it. I love Hunter x Hunter so much. It's my favorite anime. But that's still crazy. And the 1,000-Year Blood War is the same. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have as many giant ant creatures, but it still takes up over a third of the entire Bleach story. Insane. But the difference here is that Hunter x Hunter's story continues after the Chimera Ant saga. Bleach, this is how it ends. It ends with a bang. There are so many moving parts and pieces to the 1,000-Year Blood War that it's kind of hard to fit all of it in a pretty short YouTube video. But at the same time, the point of this video and last week's video isn't to recap everything that's happened. It's more so just to kind of let it all out and how I felt reading it. You know, not to break down every single story beat or fight, but really just what my experience was with it, what I took away from it. The Lost Agent saga of Bleach took me out of Bleach. I'm not gonna lie. It was a bit of a dread to read through for me, and I think if you're watching this video, you're probably aware of all the reasons why that is, even if you were a fan of it. But we start this arc with Ichigo having his Soul Reaper powers back. So we kick it off with a bang. I keep using that word. I keep using the word bang. Yo, read a dictionary, bro. Like, I know more words than that. The action and the story is already moving. We're introduced to YHWACH. Yo, this is the second video that I'm doing mentioning YHWACH, and I still don't know his name. I'm not German, so it's hard to pronounce this dude's name. I need to Google how to pronounce his name. Where's my phone? Okay, I got it.
YHWACH. YHWACH.
YHWACH. I know for a fact that's still incorrect, but I'm gonna just go with what Google's telling me, so don't get mad at me. YHWACH is the father of the Quincy, the emperor of the Wadenreich. Wadenreich. Why is there so much German in this, dude? Emperor of the Wadenreich. Reich. And the son of the Soul King, a character that, if I'm not mistaken, we weren't introduced to the Soul King prior to this arc. But he's the supposed ruler of the Soul Society, the human world, and Hueco Mundo. I'm a fan of YHWACH. He isn't my favorite villain of all time in manga, but I always kind of enjoy a villain who isn't given much screen time until the very end. He's acting more like an unmovable concept as opposed to a real person. Maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense, so I'm gonna compare him to something like the Fire Lord in Avatar: The Last Airbender. We barely saw the Fire Lord in the series until the very end, but his presence was always felt, and how his actions impacted others was a driving force in the narrative of the series. So yeah, YHWACH is the Fire Lord. That's my biggest takeaway, I guess. We're also introduced pretty early on to the concept that these Quincy's that YHWACH is ruling over are stealing Bankai. I don't really understand how that concept works still, I'm not gonna lie to you, but that's pretty badass. The concept is so cool just because it's setting the stakes so high very early. I mean, even in the first episode of the anime we're seeing this happening. Or attempted, at least. The YHWACH's actions against the Soul Society early on made me wake the hell up. And after what happened with the Lost Agent arc, Kubo's showing me right now that he's not playing around with what YHWACH and the YHWACH are capable of. Now, while I was a big fan through and through of this saga, 3 moments in particular stand out to me that is just peak. The first comes in another moment that shows us just how OP YHWACH and the YHWACH are, and that's Yamamoto's fight against YHWACH. I've watched enough anime in my life to know that the old man in the series is always the strongest dude, but so far Yamamoto hasn't really showed me that, personally speaking at least. Seeing Yamamoto go all out against YHWACH is something that I already know is going to be a powerful moment animated. This fight to me is top 3 in all of Bleach. Another favorite moment of mine came in the backstory of Ichigo's parents. I knew long beforehand that Ichigo was also a Quincy. That moment came spoiled to me by my friends. And those same friends have also argued that they hate how Ichigo has every single power-up in this Bleach universe. I mean, Mr. Bleach himself is a Shinigami, a human, a Quincy, and a Hollow. That's literally quite the same as someone in the Dragon Ball universe being a Saiyan, a Namekian, Frieza's race, and Boo's race. Yo, that's OP. How are you gonna fight that dude? Can you imagine a Namekian having a black form and Super Saiyan 4 and I don't know, is able to absorb everybody too? How is he not going to be the strongest character ever? You're just OP as fuck. So I came into this part of the story kind of hesitant, especially because of what my friend said. I thought I was gonna be disappointed, but nah. Masaki and Ishin's relationship, I love them so much. Their backstory was just, honestly, everything I could ever ask for in a backstory. A beautiful Romeo and Juliet-esque romance, 2 people that were not meant to be together, but through the odds, make it out anyways. And along with some fan service sprinkled in, how can anyone hate this backstory? This was honestly the moment that I think made me fall in love with Bleach. And I know that's weird to say because this moment came pretty late in the story, but I guess better late than never, right? This was the moment for me. This is probably my favorite moment in all of Bleach. And that last favorite moment of mine that I mentioned earlier, Rukia's Bankai. Rukia's fight against... I'm not even gonna bother with that pronunciation. Nah. It was a page turner. This entire fight was a page turner. And her Bankai is probably my favorite Bankai in the entire series. Rukia's hair, body, and outfit turned completely white, and while I was scared that having ice powers would make her just a copy and paste of Toshiro, oh no. No. I love that Kubo showed us 2 individuals who have the same elemental power, but approach the usage of that power completely differently. Knowing this power also comes at such a dangerous expense to Rukia, that a single misstep could end her life is such a cool tidbit. I've waited the entire series to know what Rukia's Bankai was, but I didn't expect the moment and the fight itself to be this badass. Oh, and going back to Toshiro for a little bit, I didn't expect him to turn into an adult. For a brief period of time, that completely took me by surprise.
Oh no, he's hot!
I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty awesome. Despite how long this saga was, I find it pretty hilarious that it took the One Piece route. One of the longest arcs in One Piece is Dressrosa, but Dressrosa took place in the entirety of 12 hours max? And then you have Wano, which a majority of Wano just took place in just one night. Like a couple hours in the same night. And a big portion of the 1,000 Year Blood War arc is kind of similar to that, where A majority of it is kind of taking place in a pretty short span despite how long the arc is, and that's because there's so many fights happening at the same time. And while we've seen it before in previous arcs in Bleach, something about the Thousand Year Blood War arc just woke me the hell up. Like, maybe it's because we're 500 chapters deep and I'm finally familiar with these captains, but I feel like I saw Kubo's brilliance now. I get it. Despite how many of them there are, each of these fights were extremely entertaining to read through. There were so many twists and turns. And while I know that the Soul Society captain who's fighting in the fight is most likely going to win, the journey made reading it so fun. While the other two series in the big three arguably have better composed stories, I think I'd watch a fight from the Thousand Year Blood War 9 out of 10 times over fights from the other two series. It's just that entertaining. But here we are, last moments of the saga, Ichigo versus YHWACH, with even the big bad of the previous saga, Aizen, joining the battle. This was entertaining as fuck. But what I love the most, and please correct me in the comments if I'm, I guess, understanding or approaching or my perspective of this story beat is wrong, but this is how I took it. YHWACH shows Ichigo the future. A future where he's married to Orihime and life is good. And YHWACH insinuates that everything that happened in this arc needed to take place in order for this good future to happen. I mean, I feel like I'm missing something, but if my interpretation of what happened is what happened, then this is beautiful. I mean, some of the writing that it took to get there didn't feel as beautiful. Like, I really hate that silver killing Quincy mumbo jumbo stuff that happened in the last, like, couple of chapters. Out of nowhere, it felt like a Deus Ex Machina. That I don't like. But everything else is just wonderful. And I can't lie, I love me a happy ending. Not like that. But an ending that gives off hope to a future generation of characters, to let audiences know that the universe we've come to know and love will continue to be protected. That kind of ending is just a chef's kiss to me. It's the reason why I love the kid characters in Dragon Ball so much. Goten, Kid Trunks, Pan, and especially Oob. Not necessarily for their personalities, although I did love Pan a lot in Dragon Ball Superhero. But more so what they represent. The Earth will continue to be protected for decades and decades to go, and seeing Ichigo's son meet Rukia's daughter in a scene that parallels the first chapter of Bleach, with the twist that Kazui already has Shinigami powers, is just a beautiful, beautiful ending to Bleach. I don't have much to say about that Bleach one-shot that dropped. I had a great time reading it for sure, but I read it immediately after I finished the main series. And something about this one-shot felt like it was written for audiences who haven't really read or watched Bleach in a long time. So it kind of felt like half of it was just really reintroducing these characters again, getting audiences hyped to see them. And seeing as how I read it right after I just saw all of these characters, it didn't feel like I was the right audience for this one shot in a weird way. But the good thing about this one shot is that it left me wanting more. I felt like this was the start of a new arc, and now I want that new arc to happen already. Like, what's up, Kubo? And that's the 1,000 Year Blood War. I love this arc. And I love what this arc made me feel towards Bleach. I absolutely love this series now. There was, I'll admit, a point where Bleach wasn't clicking for me. I thought I didn't like it. I thought I kind of actually hated it. But something about the 1,000 Year Blood War it finally clicked for me. I love this series. I love the characters. I love the relationships. I love the fight direction. And yeah, maybe it doesn't have the strongest story in all of manga, but who cares? At the end of the day, it's all about what the art makes you feel. And I somehow feel nostalgic for Bleach even though I didn't grow up on it. I legitimately cannot wait for the day that I can reread this series. I'm going to be excited as fuck for every single week to watch a new episode of the 1,000 Year Blood War anime. If anyone has any recommendations on how I can keep on exploring the Bleach universe in any way possible, video games, books, whatever, let me know in the comments. I really want to get back into the Soul Society. You know what, maybe I can go through Burn the Witch and give my thoughts on it one day, but I guess we'll see. Thanks everyone for listening to a 26-year-old man give his thoughts on Grim Reapers with big pointy swords. Until next time, see ya.